There a send that him attack truth and know. Teach for reparation for your fit grow. Rasta from Chicago, him light the way. Up with yourself, stay positive every day. For us said that we hear man the scream, talking about the history, what they never seen. From the land of Zion to the street, flame shot, spreading Jah love and giving praise to Jah. Pharaoh said that me hear on the screen, talking about the history, what they never seen. From the land of Zion to the streets when trod, spreading Jah love and giving praise to Jah. There a send that him attack truth and know. Teach for reparation for your fit grow. Rasta from Chicago, him light the way. Up with yourself, stay positive every day. Pharaoh said that me hear man the scream, talking about the history, what they never seen. From the land of Zion to the streets when trod, spreading Jah love and giving praise to Jah. Pharaoh said that me hear on the screen, talking about the history, what they never seen. From the land of Zion to the streets when trod, spreading Jah love and giving praise to Jah.
Okay, big up yourselves. Here we go. Salute, salute. Salute, salute for mature audience only. For mature audiences only. This is not for the purpose of debating, so I will not be ready or willing to debate, but I will take questions once I finish breaking down the basics of what I want to talk about. This is not to bash. This is strictly for historical and political context. I think there needs to be some historical context put to situations. Many times we change too much for the detriment of the younger generation. We won't leave well enough alone. We don't stick with tradition. And that causes confusion. Come on in. We got Oakland in the building. Rep your city. We still do what we do. We got Berkeley in the building. We got Trinidad in the house. Everybody on Facebook, Twitch, Kick, and YouTube. I am representing Chicago, Illinois, USA. And as I do, my conversations are all over the place. We got Pittsburgh in the building. We got Atlanta, Georgia in the building. I woke up like this. I woke up with this on my mind. I said, let me talk about this. Everything I talk about is organic. I don't force conversations for views. We got Miami in the building. And I am going to talk about what I think about Rasta today. I really don't like the direction it's gone in. It's lost its appeal, and it has lost its direction totally. Yep, Rasta has lost their way and lost their direction. A younger group came in, went against all the foundations of the principles and ideas. And it has lost its appeal. That's why you don't see it like that. And I'm going to talk about that. So I guess first I got to give well, it's been a slow process. It's been a slow withering process, but I really couldn't predict where it was going to go. I've seen a change though sometime now. I've seen it change for a good 15 years. It's been changed for a while. It's just getting further and further. You know how something is here and then it goes like that. So now it's kind of like this. So I'm talking about it, but it's been floating away. Shout out to everybody in Union Springs, to all my family down there. Salute to the Stewards. Salute to the McLeods. You already know what it is. So, I guess I got to start with the backdrop. Most people know I was studying Kemet. For the people that's foundational Black Americans, I guess I could start with you all. Yes, I'm a foundational Black American. The study of ancient Kemet is not in conflict with being a foundational Black American. A foundational Black American is a lineage from the Civil War, basically, till now. That identification is not in conflict with studying different worldly subjects or identifying with ancient belief systems. So, ancient belief systems have nothing to do with where you live at in a government, right? So, living under the United States government and being a descendant of slaves and being owed reparations has nothing to do with your religious beliefs, your studies of ancient ideologies. Those are not in conflict, okay? So, you can be a Pan African, foundational Black American. You see, you can be a foundational Black American, Pan African. Okay? Meaning that you study Africa, you study the social problems in Africa, but you still identify with your lineage. So you're studying that as a foundational Black American, not it's not something separate. Foundational Black American is not a belief system like that. It's just strictly a lineage. And within that lineage, there could be lots of different belief systems. The people that was in slavery came from various walks of life. So they had various identities and various belief systems. They were not all slaves from one location. They didn't go to like a Christian church and take all the slaves just from the Christian church. They took slaves from wherever they could take slaves from. Slavery was a physical situation, not a uh, his ancient historical situation. It was a physical situation. Free labor. So free labor and identifying you the people that did the free labor is not in conflict with any of your belief systems. All right? Because some people just twist that all up. and they think foundational Black American is a belief system or religion. It is like, no, foundational Black American is a lineage. Okay? Let's get that part straight. You don't have to have any particular religious belief to be American descendants of slaves. All right, let's get that part straight because a lot of people, I don't think they be knowing what foundational Black Americans represent, and they just be talking. Now, me, as far as the Rasta culture and the Rasta man way of life, I came into the Rasta way of life through ancient Egypt. So I was basically representing ancient Kemet at what you call Egypt. Okay? So that was my affiliation to what you call Africa, because ancient Egypt is in, northeast Africa. So I wasn't a Pan African in a sense, but I did appreciate and respect the Pan African concept because whatever Black people's doing, I'm gonna support it. I like the militant side of liberation and stuff like that. And many of us revolutionaries we actually got into Africa uh, through Winnie Mandela. So for many foundational Black Americans that was really young, in our 20s, our introduction to Africa was through Winnie Mandela. And my introduction to Africa was not really through Rastas. It was through Winnie Mandela. We identified with the brothers and sisters in South Africa because they had whites only toilets, whites only beaches, and because my parents came from the South where they had whites only toilets, whites only on the bus with Rosa Parks. The situation in South Africa was exactly like the situation in Selma, Montgomery, Alabama, and Mississippi, right? So for those of us that come up under the Black Power structure, because I'm a Black Power baby, so that's why when I seen the Rasta culture, of course I identify with it because I'm a Black Power baby. What do I mean by that? The Black Power movement was in the 60s. I'm born in 1958. So I've been under Black Power. Symbolism have been in my life since 2 years old. And most of you might know that your big influence starts around 7. And so when I'm 7, it's 1965. See, you got to see what I'm saying? When I'm 10, it's 1968. Right? So when I'm 10 years old, I'm heavily influenced, right, by music, of course. And my favorite song at 10 years old was James Brown. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, right? Was my favorite song. Was Say It Loud, I'm black and I'm proud. I was 10 years old. Now, I don't want to talk to you if you wasn't born. So don't try to talk to me about what black people did if you wasn't here. But yes, in the 60s, that was the black power movement. It was very strong in the black community. This was one of the biggest records in black American history. This is one of the biggest records in FBA history. It's just a fact, okay? It's absolute fact. Because everything that my parents and them was going through, when black people used to ride around in their cars and listen to the radio, they used the music for inspiration, right? So the music was definitely FBA music, right? So I don't want to talk to no little boy. You got to know what's going on for you holler at Big Pharaoh, right? And so for my parents and them, when they would ride in the cars, WVOM was a radio station. It was called the Black Giant. So there go the B right there, right? And foundational Black America, the radio station was called the Black Giant. The song is I'm Black and I'm Proud. Black is a key word in FBA. If I'm foundational what? Black. Right? So the Black Power movement. I'm black and I'm proud. The Black Panthers is FBA history. And these are facts. And black people were heavily involved in the Black Power movement, the Afro, and pro black music. So they would ride around and listen to James Brown say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Just open the door and I get it myself. Curtis Mayfield, you got to keep on pushing like your leaders tell you to. This is, you know, real black history for people younger than me. Okay? Uh, the red, black, and green, right? Uh, the red, black, and green was uh, kind of pushed to us on the down low. Okay. So it was something that was when we was kids, the way it was sold to us was, you know, it was there, right? It was there. It was sold in a way where it was there, but nobody really pointed it out. Maybe the older boys, you know what I'm saying, might have pointed it out, but it was there, but it wasn't pointed out. The Afro was pointed out the most. But the red, black, and green was there, and we all had it, but I didn't know what it was. Like the Afro pick. You know what I'm saying? And they had these shoes like look like bowling shoes. And I wanted a pair. My mother took me to the store and I picked the red, black, and green ones. But I didn't know why I picked them. I just liked them for some reason. You see what I'm saying? So I picked the red, black, and green shoes. But I was in grade school, so I didn't know why I was I identified with it. I think I was too young to know why I wanted those. Right? So this is FBA history. And so, you can't claim FBA and you don't know nothing, no FBA history, right? So the Black Power movement was a big deal. Now, the Black Power movement was age restricted. Okay? What do I mean by that? The Black Power movement was not for adults. Okay? The Black Power movement was not for adults. The Black Power movement was for teenagers and young adults. It was a teen movement. Okay? They was younger than my parents. Right? So they like 19 and I'm like 10. You know what I'm saying? And my parents is like 30 something. So my parents, the 30 and 40-year-olds was here. The Black Power movement was the shorties, was the teens. So if somebody say that black people wasn't in the Black Power movement and all that, you don't like just be quiet. You don't know nothing. I was born in 1958. Listen to somebody was here. The Black Power movement was not adult, full-grown adult foundational Black Americans. It was teenagers. It was 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds. They were that, right? It was a young people's movement. It wasn't my parents' movement. Okay? They was all babies. Right? They were all babies. That's George Jackson. See how young he was? So they were all babies. They was young. Their elder was Malcolm. Okay? Malcolm was their elder. They were listening to Malcolm X records and tapes at the colleges and high schools. Okay? Real FBA history right here. You see little Bobby Hutton? See how young he is? He was a baby. Rest in peace to little Bobby Hutton. Right? Right? So little Bobby Hutton was a baby. See how young he was? The one in the front with the rifle, that's little Bobby Hutton. So, if I'm born in 1958, all that's going on in 1968. When we get to 1978, reggae starts to catch on. Now, I'm from a big city. I'm from Chicago. Okay. So I'm from a big city. So in a big city like Chicago, we are exposed to more than a small city. At that time, the biggest person on the radio was a man by the name of Tom Joyner. Tom Joyner was the biggest radio personality in Chicago. And one day, as you know, I used to buy a lot of records. And I'm driving to the record store, Hegwar's record store, and I got Tom Joyner on. And he plays this guy named Bob Marley. You understand? This is a foundational black American from Texas that used to be with the Commodores when they first started. He's the biggest DJ in America, foundational black America, on a foundational black American radio station, played a song off this album. I'm on my way to the record store. I grabbed it immediately. And so I'm coming up. I'm in the music college and stuff, and I run into a ancient Egyptian brother by the name of Peter. I'm showing you how I got to telling you this information. Peter is a foundational black American. His parents came up here from Mississippi, and he was growing dreadlocks. I met him at music school, but he used to wear these weird things on his head. So I didn't know he had dreadlocks. I bumped into him one day. I said, hey, bro, because I knew him from music school. He still had that thing on his head. I seen a dude with dreadlocks. And I asked Peter, how he get his hair like that? And he said, I got mine like that. I said, wow. So that's how I started growing dreadlocks. I didn't start growing dreadlocks from Jamaicans. I didn't know no Jamaicans yet. I started growing my dreadlocks from a foundational black American from Mississippi. Okay? All right? Exhibit B.
My Egyptian name is Pita Elatan. And I didn't pick my name. Someone picked it for me. You know, yeah, he gave us all Egyptian names. And over the years, I became Pita. by studying the ancient Egyptian, history. And I've seen the power in saying Pita. They say, speak of the gods that they will live, you know. So, uh, and it got to the point that that's the way I live. And the group of us that hung together, we lived the life of the Egyptians. This is the way we thought, and this is the way we flowed, you know. And Aye eventually joined with Sun Ra. He went to Philadelphia, and from Philadelphia they had a chance to go to Egypt, and they did a concert on the pyramids. And they was playing horns, and they brought back Egyptian gold, which a lot of people only kind of gold they familiar with is the yellowish gold. And he brought back bronze like gold, different ankh, the ankh that looked like a person with arms sticking out, which is a symbol of life. And at time, we chose that after the 18th dynasty, Akhenaten. A lot of people, if they study the pyramids that come on regular TV, they speak of Akhenaten and King Tut, and dealing with the one God concept, Atan. That's why I chose Atan. All of us was like Atan.
So that's why my name is Pharaoh Elaton. So that was my teacher, right? So from bumping into him, this is recently, like maybe about 5 years ago. I got to go get an update interview. So we all used to hang out, right? So we used to all hang out. So um, one day, uh, I grew my dreadlocks at the Treasury Department. I got fired. Around the same time after I met him at the beach, when I went back to work, they fired me. But I had took the civil service exam. Taking the civil service exam, they send you jobs in the mail. So I was at home trying to figure out. So I was selling incense, selling body oils, and I got a notice to do I want to work at the airport. I refused it because when you take the civil service exam, they send you jobs in the mail. The next job they sent me for the Treasury Department. So I told my queen, dang, how am I get this job with my hair standing up like this? You know, with my hair like this, right? It wasn't this long yet because I had grew my dreads from a jerry curl and I had dreads. So I went and I washed my dreads. And in Black America, we knew how to do waves, right? So what I did, I washed my dreads real good and I dried them. And then I used the royal jelly, the royal jelly in the red can with the green on it. I melted it because we used to make like hot oil to get waves. So I melted the oil and I rubbed my dreads down and I had my queen put like two stocking caps on and I tied a rag on it. And like I was dressing like this, but you come from being, really that, like almost like a model. So I went in the closet, pulled out one of my tailor-made suits. When I got up the next day, when she took it off, it looked like waves. You couldn't tell it was dreads. They was flat, right? And it looked like waves. So I put on my tailor-made suit and my tie, and I went down to the Treasury Department. And when I walked in there with the tailor-made suit on, looked like I got waves, and I seen all them black women, and I see the black woman was my supervisor. I'm like, I'm gonna get this. So I got the job at the Treasury Department. So working for the United States Treasury Department, you got, I think, 3 months or 30 days. I think you got a 30-day probation period where they could fire you. So I waited till my 30-day probation period was over. Then I just shook my dreads off, took them suits off, started dressing like this, and went to work. They couldn't do nothing. So one day, so working downtown, at this time now, I'm a vegetarian, we was calling it, because we didn't know about the word vegan. I was a vegan, but we didn't know that word. So we called it vegetarian. I wouldn't eat no dairy, no animal products. And I worked downtown right there by that federal building where the L track is at, the Fed prison. Because all the Fed jobs is on the same street. Yeah, the Royal Crown. All the Fed jobs is on the same street. All the state buildings on another. So I worked for the federal government. So my building was right there. I think that's Clark, I think, or Dearborn, one of those. And the post office was right there. That's how I met my oldest daughter mother, my first child, because her mother worked for the post office, and I would bump into her when I got off of work, and one thing turned to another thing, and then boom, a baby come. But anyway, there was a health food store right there. When you come out my building, you make a left, you go down to the first street and turn, and right across from the Fed building was a health food store. So one day I went in the health food store and I bumped into this brother right here, the one with Bob Marley. But it was way after this picture because the brother's dress was to his waist, right? This brother, Sadi Wadada Eye. So Zadi Wadada Eye dress was to his waist. Now, I'm a comedic Egyptian spaceman. I got dreadlocks. So when I seen the black brother with the long dreadlocks, I was like, wow, how you get your hair how you get your hair like that, right? So this brother was giving out flyers to a concert. And like I say, I love music. So I told my queen, we going to this concert because having dreadlocks in 1978, 79, 78, I'm facing a lot of discrimination. Because it ain't nothing but me and my teacher, Peter, and a couple of us got dreadlocks, and a brother here and there, maybe a Hebrew brother or something. So I'm going through extreme discrimination. So when he gave me a flyer and I seen a band on there that had all them dreads, that's how I got locked in with the Jamaica, with the Rastas, because I had dreads and they had dreads, so I could be comfortable. I can go on that scene because Black Americans was some haters. You understand? Not all of them. Now let me rephrase that. Not all of them, because a lot of black men would be running behind me. I'm like, why dude running behind me like that? And he get up to me, how you get your hair like that, right? So it was some cool brothers. Salute to all the cool brothers. But when Zadi gave me the flyer and I synced all the brothers had hair like mine, I was excited. I told my queen, this is my first queen. I was still with her. We hadn't broke up yet. I said, we going to this concert. I got to go see this. I didn't know nothing about reggae. All I know is they got hair like mine. I'm going. So from going to that, I start running into different brethren, right? So that's why I'm able to talk about Rasta, because that happened early, like 19. That had to be like 79, probably. 79. So when I went there, I started bumping into a bunch of Rastas. I went to 2 shows. Now, how I got plugged in with the Rastas, like I told you, I had went to Vandercook College of Music, and I had been playing music since a shorty, because back then, the older brothers used to have bands in the alley. So when I was a kid, we'd ride our bike in the alley Jay Hawkins and them would be over there playing. The brothers behind me, they had a band. They end up on the radio, right? So I grew up in a music era. So a lot of us, we played music. Okay? I'm giving you the whole history before I make my presentation so that I could be verified that I know what I'm talking about. So in the black community back then, there would be bands everywhere, right? And these bands would play music. One of the bands was right behind my house. My neighbors, they ended up being on the radio. They was called the 8 Minutes. See the little boy in the middle? That's Wendell. He was my sister's age. None of them was my age. They was older than me, and Wendell was younger than me. You see the girl to your right? That's Heather. Now, I was in love with Heather, but I was a little boy. I didn't know what love was, but I thought she was the finest, most beautiful thing I ever seen in my life. You know how you're a little boy and you see the older woman, the older sister, and I'll just stop and just be froze. You know what I'm saying? With Heather. But she was like, what? I'm a little boy. I'm a year older than her little brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm a year older than Wendell, the one in the front. And I'm staring at her. So you can see the difference in the age. I thought, man, I used to be mesmerized. My point is they played music behind in the garage behind us. Jay Hawkins played in the street. So I grew up playing music. I went to music college. That's where I met Peter at Vandercook College of Music. So when I bumped into Zadi and went to the reggae show, I ended up bumping into another brother, and he had a whole family that was a band. And so he asked me, would I come and play trumpet because they needed horns. Josh Stone, he had just cut his locks in this picture. His locks was way down past his butt, but he had like some kind of accident, and he had to get a surgery. He had to get stitches, and they had to cut a little piece. And, Rasta men is very strict. They don't like no razor to their head. So I went over there. I said, what happened to your locks? He said he just wasn't comfortable that a razor had been in there. So he just cut them all off and started over. I remember I asked him, I said, you going to grow them back? He said, boy, brethren, do you ask a tree if it are going to grow? I said, damn, right? So I started playing in their band. So playing in their band, he was the oldest. The next oldest was the lead singer, and they had some little brothers. And the little brothers, I think, was in high school. So one day the little brothers came home, and they had a book, and they showed me a picture of this man. And they said Akhenaton, because I hadn't changed my name yet. My name was Akhenaton. But we black, so we make everything, blackish. So instead of saying Akhenaton, I'm from the hood, it's Akhenaton, right? So I was Akhenaton. I'm from Chicago. I ain't no Akhenaton, I'm Akhenaton. So they said, Akhenaton, you know this man? And there was this picture of this dude. And they said, he the king of kings. I said, the king of kings, a black dude, right? So I'm like, a black dude? They're like, yeah. So I'm tripping, right? Because I'm like, why I ain't heard of this man? Why ain't heard of no black king of kings? That's where my mind was at. I was like, wait a minute. Why ain't heard of this? You telling me it's a black king and a black empress is the king of kings and the queen of kings? So I'm tripping, right? I go start doing the studying. I'm interested because I'm in the pharaohs. So I'm into royalty. See what I'm saying? I'm in the ancient Egypt, which is royalty. So when I see that royalty, and I'm like, okay, Egypt right here, Ethiopia right there, okay, I could rock with this. So that's how I became really the first comedic Rasta. Like I made I'm like my own thing. I'm really the first comedic Rasta, right? So that's what gives me the right to talk about that because I'm an OG with the Rasta, situation. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? I'm really him. From way back as a baby. You see, I got my spaceman glasses on. So, see, I was doing princes shall come out of Egypt, Ethiopia shall soon stretch forth her hands unto Jah. I was doing that, the Egypt Ethiopian thing, right? So, we played music, and I ended up playing music all the way across the country. I ended up making money playing music, right? So I knew the principles of the music. You know what I'm saying? Because I played the music. And the music had a principle and a sound to the music. The music got to be played right. This Big Pharaoh, you see me with the bass in California on stage doing it, right? I really do that. So I'm not just sitting up here talking about Rasta. I'm really him. Man, make no mistake about that. Man, make no mistake about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm really, besides my brother Ojinky, I hope Ojinky's still all right. Ojinky is an elder in California. He the only one that's a foundation of Black America and that precedes me. And I give it to Lester Farai, the one in the red jacket. Lester Farai, I think might be ahead of me. There I go, trying to get the baby to stop crying. Rest in peace to Dennis Brown, right there in the middle. This was a reggae record store I was working at when I got tired of running from the ganja spot with the police chasing me in South Central. Shout out to all the rolling 60s out there. It's your boy Ramesses. Shout out to the rolling 60s out there. Shout out to D and Don. I don't know where y'all at, but if y'all out there, y'all know what it is. So I was powerful because all this is going on in Chicago and LA, and I was the only interface that could fuck with the hood. See what I'm saying? So I was very valuable to the Trinidadians and Virgin Islanders and Jamaicans because I was outside. You know what I'm saying? I was outside. So the GDs, the BDs, the Vice Lords, the Blackstones, the Crips, and the Bloods, they messed with your boy because I'm one of them. They foundational Black American, and I was a foundational Black American Rasta. You know what I'm saying? So I had the interface in the hood. So I'm qualified to speak on what I'm saying about Rasta and how Rasta has lost its appeal. Now, I wasn't playing. I was really that. But I understand what you're saying, though. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could say that. I know what you're saying, like playing both sides, but it was just like I was really uh, amalgamation. I was, I'm really that because coming in as, and I'm glad you said that, right? Because coming in, whatever your name is, this is for mature audiences only. Okay, this is for mature audiences only. This is not for immature audiences. Okay, all right, for mature audiences only. We're not mixing up conversations. You have to have some high intellect for this conversation. So right now I'm talking about rosters. And so rosters at that particular time had a strict concept, right? A strict concept. And the concept was really highly, first, strong black unity, right? Strong black unity, a high amount of respect for the different types of blacks, right? So it wasn't this weirdo stuff now. It was like if you was a foundational black American, that's what you are. If you was a Trinidadian, that's what you are. If you was a Jamaican, that's what you are. If you was from Senegal, that's what you are. We wasn't doing this weirdo stuff now where everybody crossing lanes. It was like you did not have to be the same. Because I got brothers asking me, is this the same? Is that the same? See, I don't come from that era. I come from where you could be FBA 100% and still go around other brothers. Other brothers don't have nothing to do with you being FBA. It's what a lot of brothers don't understand. If you can go around whoever, that has nothing to do with your lineage or what you're pushing. It's not it like it bleeds into each other. That's child. That's baby. That's ignorance. That's foolishness. They on what they on. You on what you on. If you're around some Jamaicans rosters and they have a hurricane in Jamaica, they gonna be worried because they Jamaican roster. They rosters born in Jamaica. They family is in Jamaica and they gonna be worried about their family in Jamaica. If a brother's from Senegal and some problems with his family, he gonna be worried about his family in Senegal. That has nothing to do with unity. You still are what you are. Okay? So nothing bled over. Now, Rastas now have fell off. One of the first things is the reggae. The reggae don't have no originality no more. This is why Rasta has lost its appeal, because the reggae doesn't have any originality, right? None. What a lot of foundational black Americans, what you got to understand is reggae was the news for all black people. It wasn't the news for Jamaicans. It's hard for you to have a concept because you got social media. But without social media, how would you know what's going on? So black people in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even in the 90s use music to let people know what's going on. As you got to the late 80s to the 90s, they still use music, but they had videos. So when you get to MTV and BET, not only are they telling you, but they got the videos. You know what I'm saying? So you got Nas. I know I can be what I want to be. They able KRS-One, whoever. They're able to get on in the song, and you can actually see them. But back in the day, especially for the haters that want to come and be bringing up nut stuff, music was the only way we knew what was going on. And for people that was black conscious, we really didn't separate like Bob Marley from Gil Scott Heron or the Last Poets. Whoever had the information, they represented information music. Then you had people that had the lovers music, right? So whether you was Dennis Brown or whatever singing love songs to a woman, or whether you was the OJs or Smokey Robinson, the lovers music was to get with the queen. The radical music was to create radical concepts like Public Enemy. You understand? All of that was in the same category. Reggae had the conscious reggae, had the lovers rock, right? The conscious reggae was in the same category as Public Enemy, KRS-One, Poor Righteous Teachers, Brand Nubian. All of that was in the same category. That's why here in Chicago, a lot of shows would be a reggae band and KRS-One, a reggae band and Poor Righteous Teachers. They used to do the shows together because they had a black conscious audience that liked both of them. See what I'm saying? Because there wasn't no difference in no Hebrew Israelite sister with a head wrap on, a sister from the Nation of Islam with a head wrap on, Pan African sister with a head wrap on, or a Jamaican Rasta queen with a head wrap on. They was like all the same, right? See, it wasn't like it is now. You understand? See, they have come in here with some nut stuff. As if some brothers start getting here, if they would have just listened, they didn't let me build a house. I built a house. You understand what I'm saying? You can't compare back then to now. Now is weirdo stuff. Then all pro-black went together. So, perfect example. Look at foundational black Americans. If that would have got created back then, right, it would have went through the roof. Seriously. If black Americans would have created foundational black American back then, Chuck D would have jumped on it. KRS-One would have jumped on it. Lord Jamar and them would have jumped on it. All the reggae artists would have been FBA and the dope. Yeah, all the reggae artists, they would have thrown FBA and all the record songs. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Whether you Rastaman, FBA, they would have threw back then. They would have threw FBA right in the music. That's a fact. And then they would have honored the brothers and sisters in America, FBA, They would have just, because back then we was realists. We know we ain't in South Africa fighting in Soweto. So we knew then, them in Soweto is dealing with Soweto. Them in Jamaica is dealing with Jamaica. Them in America is dealing with America. We knew that back then. We knew everybody was fighting a battle wherever they was at. We wasn't clashing like that. That's why when you used to go to the reggae show in Chicago, all the Rastas would be there. All the Hebrew Israelites would be there. The Nation of Islam would be there. Pan-Africans would be there because it was a spot for alternative thinking. That's what it was. It was an alternative thinking spot. It wasn't like you this, you that. We didn't really get into that. We didn't care what you was. Nobody cared what you was. Nobody want to know who is these dudes, a poor righteous teacher. What are they? Nobody cared. All we know is they poor righteous teachers is popping. Right? Over the years, at that time, the Rastas that was making the reggae was Outkast. So Rastas in Jamaica was Outkast. Couldn't get hotel rooms, had to live in the hills. Police wanted to brutalize them. As reggae started taking off, the same Jamaicans that hated Rasta start imitating Rasta. And a lot of people don't understand that. The Jamaicans playing reggae now are the imitators from the families that hated Rasta. But when reggae blew up from the Rastas they discriminated against, right? From the Rastas they discriminated against, sometimes it's good to listen and not type and destroy the build. Like, I don't know what's up with that, but whatever. The Rastas that couldn't go to hotels and was discriminated against, as the reggae got popular and the whites started coming from Europe and America to Sunsplash, and Sunsplash started bringing in lots of money to the hotels. Mind you, Rasta couldn't go to no hotel. They get out stinking Rasta. But now that Rasta got a big music, now the very white people that want to see Rasta is going to the hotel. So now the Rasta is bringing in the money to Jamaica. So now the Jamaicans that hated Rasta, when they seen the money, now they want to be Rasta. Now Jamaicans talking about one love, Irie man. Irie man, Irie is not a Jamaican term. Irie is strictly a Rasta term. Rastas did not talk like Jamaicans. Jamaicans had their regular way to talk. Rastas talked Rasta. Jamaicans didn't talk the way you see Jamaicans talking now. They didn't talk like that. They stole that from Rasta. Rasta didn't like saying back, I'll be back. So Rasta say, soon come. Rasta didn't like to say all right. So Rasta say Irie. Rasta say I all the time. So Rasta say yes Irie. Soon come one love. The Jamaicans took Run Love. That wasn't Rasta. Started growing dreadlocks and started pimping Rastas to get the reggae money. So when they start pimping Rasta to get the reggae money and start to get the money off of the white crowd, they sold out the culture. Exhibit A. When you see them on the reggae stage with a white audience, and I ain't against no mixed people, and you see them saying, one love, one heart, let's get together and feel all right. They're selling that as a racial song, correct? They say, let's get together and fight this Armageddon. When Bob Marley made that song, that was not a racial song. That wasn't a racial song. The song One Love was a strictly Rasta song because there was beef between the 12 tribe of Israel Rasta, the Nyabingi Rasta, the Bobo Shanti Rasta, and 3 or 4 other Rasta groups used to be beefing. The Rastas was beef, different types of Rastas. So the song One Love was a Rasta song telling the Rastas to unite. The fake Jamaicans that stole the reggae and watered it down made it a racial song. One Love is not a racial song. Bob Marley say, let's get together and fight this Armageddon. Them people don't know nothing about no Armageddon. That's Rasta talk. They was trying to stop the Rasta segregation. Israel Vibration did the same thing. We all gonna sing the same song, whether you a Bobo, whether you a 12 tribe of Israel, whether you a kinky naughty dread. We all, see what I'm saying? That was Rasta music, right? That was Rasta music, right? Okay? But that was Rasta music. You know what I'm saying? So, as time went, because the Jamaicans, no, that's in the 80s. That's the 80s. That's the 80s. That's the late 70s, but mostly in the 80s. By the time you start getting right to close to the 90s, by the time you start moving over to that era, the fake Jamaicans that took reggae just for Sunsplash, they went and took it this way. So they jumped into it over here, and then they grabbed it and they pulled it over there. So next thing you know, they're not playing the instrument, no more bass and keyboard. All of a sudden, the music is womp womp, womp 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 womp. It ain't the bass no more. It's not boom 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 boom. Now it's womp 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 womp. Slowly, the bad man in them come in, Elephant Man, Pinchers, Ring the alarm, another song is drowning. Rasta was gone. Over with. Next thing you know, champion lover, no reason tonight. Shaba! Next thing you know, Shaba. No Rasta at all. I mean, and I boom, boom, and I boom, 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 gone. Oh, Rasta reggae, gone. Dance off. Slackness, take over. All the brothers start putting hair ups on. You know, like Sizzler now. Gone. The artistic gone. It's no longer universal black music. It's just Jamaican noise. It's no longer universal music. It's Jamaican noise. You know what I mean? Facts. They sold the whole culture out. Gone. Gone. Now reggae has no originality. Originally, when I played reggae, you had to have originality. You had to have your own sound. Reggae got no sound now. Nobody has a sound. They got a voice, but they don't have a sound. For example, Steel Pulse had a sound. Steel Pulse had a sound. Black Uhuru had a sound. Bob Marley had a sound. Nobody made music like Bob Marley. Nobody made music like Steel Pulse. Nobody made music like Black Uhuru. Nobody made music like Dennis Brown. Freddie McGregor did not sound like Dennis Brown. Nobody sound the same. Now he say he see the Rastas. No, them ain't Rastas. Them is they perpetrating a fraud. They got the dreadlocks to do dance hall trying to pimp Sizzler's look. Rastas did not wear no head wraps. Rastas wasn't feminine. Rastas was extremely, Rasta was a soldier. Rasta didn't wear no head wraps. Period. There was only a few brethren, and the Bobo Shanti wasn't even popular. Brethren, we wore crowns. We wore crowns or we wore our locks out. Show me somebody with a head wrap on. Who got a head wrap on in this picture? Who got a head wrap on? Who got a head wrap on? Who got a head wrap? You see a head wrap? You see a head wrap? You see a head wrap? Show me one. Show me a head wrap. Show me one. Show me a head wrap. Show me where men didn't look extremely masculine. Show me one picture where the men don't look masculine. Much respect to Burning Spirit. See I'm out there selling? See? Show me somebody with a head wrap on. I'll wait. Don Carlos. Me, Don Carlos, my brother Selassie, Garty. Show me somebody with a head wrap on. I'm just saying. Who's conquering lions? Who's conquering lions? The only people had hair wraps on? The only people had head wraps on. You see Bob? No head wrap. You see the sister queens? Head wraps. That's one of the major difference with the Rasta man today. He too soft. Look who got their head wraps on. Keep it real. Keep it real. So they watered down the thing. The music is, you can tell that the musicians, they have less musical skills. They're not musicians. A lot of them is taking old tracks that have been recorded, switching some of the music down, and making music over recorded Studio One tracks and old tracks, because they don't have no musicianship. They don't have, okay? And Rasta lost all his influence in the music because the music was hard edge educational and forced you to do better and built a crowd. And now they don't want to start over and build a crowd. So they got to make the music that the crowd accept So they got a Rasta and reggae now. They got to bow down to the crowd. No, they don't compose their own music. They rapping over tracks, remixing and sampling. They can't play no music. They're not musicians. And they don't want to run the crowd away. See, reggae music was anti Babylon. Well, with Rasta playing music, we didn't care nothing about the crowd. The crowd got to come and listen to what we say. We not going to play no music for you to agree with. Oh, we going to play the music what we standing on. And you got to come hear that. And so reggae concerts was a place where you went to big up yourself. It was a place where you go to be more blacker. Reggae concerts was a place you go to meet pro-black brothers and sisters. So a sister, a regular sister will hear about the reggae show. These are facts. And she would come to the reggae show as she is. And when she come to the reggae show, it'd be other sisters and brethren there. So when the sister come to the reggae show, she would look around and she would pick up on the vibes of the strong black brothers and sisters that's there, that's pushing black strength, black revolution, black freedom, black culture, decency, strong males, strong females, right? So when the sister come the first time, when next Saturday come and she be dressed different. She got a little skirt on. She might wrap her hair with something. You know what I'm saying? She looking at the black consciousness. So when she come the next time, she get in where she fit in. She start emulating that positive black image. Next thing you know, she said her name Shakira or something. She ain't Deborah no more. Next thing you know, she one of us. She coming to the cribs. She coming to our homes because we would hang out. We would hang out. We would meet up. The sister would come and we'll go like to Hyde Park to somebody's place, and all the sisters and brethren would be there, and the sisters would be cooking vegetarian food because we going vegetarian. We eating better. So the queens everybody was experimenting. Your natural hair, no chemicals on your hair. Okay, we eating better. We experiment with food now. We trying to go vegetarian. We changing how we talk. We changing how we look at the community. I don't got no perm no more. I don't got on no tailor-made suit no more. I ain't still gambling no more. You understand? We growing into black culture. They're not doing that no more. Okay? The reggae has no originality. The reggae musicians have no musical training. They're horrible. They still using the same old musician until the brothers pass away. They still got to go on tour with the same brothers. They got to go find different people from different cultures to play in the reggae band, and it don't even sound right. In those days, the Jamaican brethren and sisters, as they built more bands, they didn't have enough musicians. But black Americans was good musicians. So the Rasta brethren would bring us in, and we would go into training to switch the music we used to play and learn how to play their music. So now, with this intermingling with the cultures, the music went through the roof. Because now they bring me, I've been to music college. I've been playing trumpet since the 5th grade. So now they got me in the band. I'm playing trumpet and I'm we sound real good. Boom, 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 boom. We sound real good. We got horns. Shout out to my man Bird. Bird was this real light-skinned black dude, black American, like a hood dude, but he had the locks, but he was cold on the sax. I was on the trumpet. So now we don't just got bass and drums and keyboard. We got horns. Not only do we got the horns, now we got a lifestyle. We making money. We playing at the Wild Hair 3 or 4 days a week. People, you paying your rent, your condo. The reggae club, the Wild Hair, blowing up. The Wild Hair blew up so much they opened the Exodus across the street and opened the Ethiopian restaurant up the street. All that's gone because the Jamaicans didn't stick with the music, sold the music out. They didn't bring in no Trinidadians. They didn't bring in more Black Americans. They started trying to do the dance hall weird stuff, destroyed the culture. When they started doing the dance hall, Batman coming out of the club, shot up the club, whole scene over. As soon as they brought the bad boy music, the dance hall bad boy, it ruined everything because the music got a frequency. And when you do all that, all a certain frequency, like somebody asked me about Bad Bunny, that's that other frequency. So when you start listening to that frequency, next thing you know, you already know what your son, I ain't gonna even say, but bring into that anti-frequency. Yeah, Yellow Man brought in the negativity. I remember the first time I went to see Yellow Man, I was in LA, right? I was in LA. And I used to go to concerts after to sell my buttons and my incense. So I go to see Yellow Man because he was on the radio, and I know a lot of people going to be there. So I'm going to see Yellow Man, and first thing when I walked in, the first thing I noticed, it's just some turntables on the stage. That's the first time I seen that. Because every time I went to concerts, right, it's a band. And the first time I went to a concert, there was no band, was Yellow Man. So I'm looking, it's nothing but a DJ set up on the stage. What the hell is this? What kind of concert is this? So Yellow Man come out. Boom, 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 boom. So I'm still getting into the music. So I'm up kind of close. Yellow Man come out. This so got a purpose. Policeman got a purpose. Then he said, the Batman got a purpose. Man, I was so pissed because I'm up here dancing and he talking about the LGBTQ got a purpose. I'm embarrassed. I have to back up, right? I had to back up. I had to back up. I had to back up. I said, look at this. And that was the downfall. It was all down. It was all downhill. No culture, no roots, no culture. None. So now the Rasta is no longer revolutionary, right? And so once Rasta was no longer no revolutionary, we ain't had no more revolutionary music because the rappers couldn't stay together. And the rappers sold out. KRS-One sold out the Black Revolution to teach hip hop to Europeans and Asians and stuff. So once they took that out the music, right off the top, they can't collaborate with pro-black hip hop. So once they washed out the reggae, they washed out black conscious music. If you look at, they both went away at the same time because they was both a part of the same movement. That's a fact. That's why KRS-One and all them went away. Because conscious reggae built conscious rap. There wouldn't be no conscious rap without reggae. Reggae was the father, and conscious hip hop was the son. That is a fact. You see KRS-One say Haile Selassie right in the song. Because a whole bunch of Rastas did what? Come into Florida and go where? New York. So the New York rappers had to walk the street, and you got what? Nicholas Novelty. You got Rasta was self-employed, right? So because Rasta can't get no job, we can't get no job. We got what? Restaurants. We got Ital food spots. We got places to sell T-shirts. We selling stuff because we can't get no job. So now the rappers on New York, they shorties. I dressed them. I dressed the Rastas. Hold on a sec. These are facts. I'm the one dressed them. I dressed Bobby Brown. You name it. Public Enemy, KRS-One, you name it. From the hip hop ones, from the R&B ones to the radical ones. When you see them with their stuff on, they got that stuff from people like me. We the ones put this on Big Daddy Kane neck. When you seen Big Daddy Kane with that little Africa or that little heart, he got that from the Black Conscious movement. Dressed them. We was older than them. They was like right under us. You understand? They're like the next generation right under us. You see what I'm saying? Chuck D and all them. They like our little brothers, little sisters. You know what I'm saying? They like right under us. Under me. And their whole influence was reggae. Reggae built all of that. Them all Bob Marley's babies. Black conscious rappers, all of them is Bob Marley babies. Including Farrakhan. Farrakhan from the islands. Last time I seen Farrakhan, I seen him at Luciano show. Facts. I took my queen to see Luciano. And Farrakhan walked by and went and spoke to him. He had the reggae show, for sure, on everything. That's a fact. And the reggae was the assistant to Black culture, right? Because if you're going to have a Kwanzaa celebration, right? If you're going to have some type of Black celebration, what do you want there? You want Black music. So what you going to have there? Reggae. Reggae, we did all of the Black events. We were the music for Black events. So it didn't represent no separation and all the weirdo stuff y'all trying to do now. Nobody wasn't on that. At those events, the Nation of Islam is there, Hebrew Israelites is there, Rastas is there, Pan-Africans is there, Egyptians is there, regular black people is there, everybody there. Ain't none of this, you believe this, you believe it. We ain't, all that's that new weirdo stuff. Weird. That's why you say I be uncomfortable when y'all come over here with that weirdo division stuff. I don't come from that era. There was two types of people. There was people that had knowledge, and then there was regular working people. And all of us that had any kind of knowledge, we was one group. This the knowledge group. So if you Nation of Gods of Earth, Islam, Nation of Islam, Moor, whatever, you and our group, Hebrew Israelite, Rasta, Kemetic, Pan-African, Revolutionary, you would be in that group. All of us was in that group. And that group was called the cultural community. Not sign that in now. The cultural community, aka conscious community, was outside. The conscious community was brothers and sisters of all different type of consciousness at events. And there was a protocol. And so if we there and we sitting around, we ain't talking about nothing. And then Izim get up and start kicking something. Don't nobody say nothing. I see y'all be like, why Pharaoh get upset when somebody else say something? Because that's not our culture. Our culture is whoever got the flow, got the flow. That's your real culture. So if this brother start talking first, you shut up. That's our culture. That's our true culture. Once he start talking, you cannot now get the strength to talk. You's a coward. Because why you didn't say nothing before him? You need him to talk for you to say something? You need me to go live? Now you got a bunch of stuff to type? Why you ain't go live on your own? Why you getting superhero on my account? That's why I don't be liking that. Why you weak and another brother got to start a conversation and now all of a sudden you know everything at my expense? You want to come in my chat and know everything, but you won't go get you a chat. No, I don't like you. No, I don't respect you. And no, you cannot deal with me outside of nowhere. You weak. I will run over you. You can't stand on your own. You're trying to stand on my platform. You're trying to get in my chat and teach. To me, you a little boy. I watch everybody, Tyreek, everybody. Y'all never see me make no comments. I be watching. Do y'all see me say something? Do y'all see me try to interject my knowledge on any live stream? And I'll be on all of them. No, that's out of order. When I go on somebody's live stream, I shut up. If I say anything, I'll say it for a thumb up. And when you say something right, I'll be like, that's right. That's it. I don't be no lame, weak, loser, coward that got to let another person build up. And now I'm in there typing like a typist. We didn't ever do none of that. Whoever got the flow, got the flow. And if you say something, it's supposed to add to the flow. So if he on the floor and I do say something, I got to say something to keep the comment going. Now, a brother could be talking about Atlantis and you'll ask him about Pennsylvania. Well, what about Pennsylvania? What about you shut up? In other words, change the subject. In other words, change the subject. I be talking about some brothers be like, change the subject, answer my question. Shut up. You see what I'm saying? That's why I be like that. You disrespectful. other people listen to what I'm saying. You want me to speak directly to you. You want me to stop speaking to the audience and answer a bunch of questions from some loser that really you don't even got the best interests of the people. Okay? And so Rasta was no longer no revolutionaries. Next thing you know, Rasta's turned to some Christians. Next thing you know, Rasta's running behind the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Mind you, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church was on the radio in Ethiopia speaking against his Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie, when Emperor Haile Selassie left the palace. When Emperor Haile Selassie left the palace, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church was his enemy. To all you Rastas out there with them head wraps on, running behind the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, they was the enemy of his Imperial Majesty. Hold on. Facts. Who won't smoke? Which one of y'all brothers with them head wraps on won't smoke? On September 12, 1974, the head of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tawhida Church, Patriarch Abuna Theophilos, publicly shifted his stance and issued a New Year message asking for blessings on the military's revolutionary movement rather than on Emperor Haile Selassie, just as the deposed monarch was being escorted out of the Jubilee Palace. Facts. The church and the overthrow. Look it up yourself. Now all these Rastas is running behind the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, talking about they Rastas. Yeah. With your head wrap on. Yeah. Who won't smoke with Big Pharaoh? Who? Who want to smoke? Who won't smoke? Which one of you Rastas out there want to get served up? Like pancakes. You know what I'm saying? Messing with the real. Okay? Now look, all the Rastas is following the imagery of the people that went against His Majesty. These facts. We don't wear no head wrap, boy. His Majesty wore a crown. You see His Majesty with a head wrap on? That's a crown. That's a crown. You see the Queen? I'm going to give you some other history. He was called the King of Kings. You know what she was called? She wasn't called the Queen of Queens. She was called the Queen of Kings. I'm going to repeat. He's the King of Kings. She was called the Queen of Kings. Now, when I was a young Kemetic Rasta and they told me about Haile Selassie, and I went and looked at this picture, I already knew who it was. You know what the first thing came to my head when I seen this picture? Being a foundational Black American. You know the first thing I thought? He got the whole world in his hand. 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 So the reason I deal with Emperor Haile Selassie, right? Now let me give you some game. I was a Kemetic Rasta, right? Ancient Egyptian. So when I click on the picture, I see the scepter. I see what's in his hands. I see what's on his head. I see what's on their head. This is how my concepts be. My concepts is like this. Okay. I'm born in Chicago, raised on 116th Street. That was my place where the Most High had my family and where I grew up, right? So I'm thinking like this. Why is he the one there? What is going on in the cosmos? Why is he there? He can't make himself be there. So why is this man there at that time to be anointed as the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah? Why? So I already know that he what he is because he can't make himself be that. So I already knew who it was. I'm like, oh yeah, this him. I'm like, oh yeah, this him. Because he can't be born no baby and be there. That got to be divine intervention. I already know. I was like, yeah, that's him. Coming from the Kemetic side, I knew who it was right off the top. Soon as the shorties, the young Jamaican brothers showed me that picture, here's the first thing. When I seen that picture, the first thing I thought is, why white America ain't show me this picture? You know what I'm saying? I said, I'll be suspicious. So I'm like, why ain't nobody show me this picture? Right then, I was suspicious. That ain't suspicious. Why they ain't show black people no black king of kings and no black queen of kings? That ain't suspicious. They show me Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver every year. Why they ain't show me dude? So right then I know, oh, okay, they playing in my face. I already knew who it was. I'm like, oh, they don't want black people to see this here. I knew right off the top they don't want you to see that. I said, oh, they, because I'm a firm believer that you place where you're supposed to be. You can't place yourself nowhere. I didn't place myself in Chicago. I was placed there. I believe in that kind of stuff. I remember when I was a little boy, y'all, and you know how you say your prayers at night? And I was sitting back thinking, and I was thinking about how nice our house was and how I lived on such a nice block and how I lived in such a nice neighborhood and how I lived in such a nice city and how I lived in such a nice country, right? As a kid, I must have been about 8 or 9. And I was like praying to God, thinking, I was like, I thought that was special. I thought I was special. Because I'm like, why am I here? You know, why am I in this nice house? Why do I got these great parents? Why am I on Aberdeen Street? Why am I in Maple Park? Why am I in Chicago? Why am I in Illinois? Why I'm in the United States, Chicago? Why I'm in the United States? I started thinking that was some kind of blessing. I still remember that thought process. I was a baby. But I was thinking I was some kind of blessing that I was put in that position. That's how I started thinking. Look at your position and why you in that position, especially when you're in a good position. Like all the black people in the United States. Why you ain't in Haiti? What is it about foundational black Americans that we in this particular country? Why? Because no matter what nobody said, this is the greatest country in the world. Period. With all its flaws. There ain't no place in Africa as nice as this. No place. Not even close. They can say what they want to say. There is no other place in the world that got a Los Angeles, a New York, a Chicago, a Miami, a Houston. Name me another place in this world that got that many great cities individually. Name me anywhere. Nigeria ain't got that. Name me 5 places in that. Name me 10 places in Nigeria. Because I can name you 10 places in the United States, my eyes closed. From Houston to Miami to LA to San Francisco to New York to Chicago to Detroit to Cleveland. Nice cities. Texas got Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. And one state. Name me somewhere in Africa, one place got that. Ain't nowhere in Africa, one place got that much greatness. Nigeria's got 200 million black people. They worth 40 billion. We got 1/4 of them. We got 50 million black people, and we worth 2.1 trillion. Nigeria, 40 billion. Black Americans, 2.1 trillion. Black Americans, 50 million people. Nigeria, 200 million. 4 times the amount of people that we got. But our value is 2.1 trillion. And go read Jet Magazine and Ebony Magazine and see what Emperor Haile Selassie said about us in Chicago. Go read it. Go read it. Black Magazine with the Black King of Kings. Go read it. And not just one article, 2 articles. On my soul. And so Rasta lost their appeal because they didn't stay with the original formula. They turned to Christian Orthodox. They lost their masculinity. They ain't pushing ITAL food no more. You know what I'm saying? They ain't standing on nothing that it was built on when it's successful. They not pushing the hardcore cultural reggae no more. They're not. They totally lost their appeal, man. Yeah, Fort Worth is big money. And Texas got the finest black women in the world is in Texas. The most. The most fine women in one place is Texas. That's a fact. The most fine black women in one place is in Texas. I bet you ain't an African country can compete. Although Africa got some beautiful women, I'm sure. But Texas is something else. I'm going to tell you that. So none of the original concepts exist no more. It's not no pushing no food. You know what I'm saying? It's not pushing no food or nothing. I didn't really become no Rasta. I was just a Rasta. I'm not really a Rasta. I'm a comedic Rasta. I'm my own type of Rasta. I was a Rasta anyway. Rasta is just a way of life. It's not nothing you join. Rasta is not like a church. Rasta is not a church. It's not nothing you join. You know what I'm saying? I was a Rasta. I had dreadlocks before I met any Rasta. So I had dreadlocks already. I was eating ital already. All the concepts, I was already doing it. So I really didn't become a Rasta. I just found out I was a Rasta. You know what I'm saying? I was a Rasta before I met Rastas. You know what I'm saying? Go back and watch this from the beginning. I break all that down. I was a Rasta before I met Rastas. I had dreadlocks before I met Rasta. I was eating nighttime food. I was vegan before I met Rasta. I had changed my slave name before I met Rasta. So all the things Rastas do, I was already doing it. So I really didn't have to become no Rasta. I'm just a Rasta anyway. But I'm a Kemetic Rasta. I'm coming out of Kemet. I ain't coming out of Ethiopia. That's the only difference. But yeah, I was a Rasta already. You know what I'm saying? Marcus Garvey, the founder of Pan African. No, he wasn't. Crummell and them was. Delaney and Crummell and them was. Not Marcus. No. Pan-African was not started by a single person, but rather grew from the mid-19th century anti-slavery and national writings by the figures of Martin Delaney and Edward Biden, the Trinidadian barrister Henry Sylvester Williams, transformed it into an organized political movement by staging the first Pan-African Conference in London in the 1900s. So no, the early intellectuals was Martin Delaney, Edward Biden, and Alexander Crummell. Then Henry Sylvester Williams, then W.B. Du Bois, then Marcus Garvey, then Kwame Nkrumah. Marcus is way down the list. Martin Delaney is the first one. I need to save this because I'm going to have to talk about this. These things is always hard to find. Yeah. Yeah, do your research. Do your research. No, the first one is Martin Delaney, and then Edward Blyden. Martin Delaney was a 19th century African American writer who urged black self-determination. Edward Blyden was from the West Indies. He was from the Caribbean, who promoted African culture, pride, and unity. And Alexander Crummell was a African American minister who championed the uplift of the black race. They are the three that get the credit. Then you get into Henry Sylvester, way in London, way before Marcus Garvey. W.E.B. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, and Kwame Nkrumah, and they leaving a brother out, the brother Marcus Garvey copy. Hold on. Let me get a brother his props. Duas Mohammed claimed a Pan-African who famously had a direct working relationship with Marcus Garvey and later claimed that Garvey took core elements of his global vision and publishing style from him, was an Egyptian British journalist and activist. That's Marcus Garvey stole from bro. On my soul. On my soul. That was dude's whole steelo. Garvey took it from him. He the one told Garvey all that stuff. You know, Marcus Garvey was a snake. This the brother right here. This the brother right here. This the man right here. On everything I love. Let me save this picture too. Put it in the file. This the brother. Dusaim Muhammad Ali. I think that's how you pronounce it. He the one. See, a lot of people got robbed. Yeah, a lot of people got robbed. Yeah, a lot of people got robbed. He one of them. On everything I love. Brother from Kemet. Brother from Kemet. Straight up. That's another reason they don't want to show. They ain't want to show you no black Egyptian. This a black Egyptian brother. Now let that sink in. Look, let that sink in. This a black Egyptian brother. Let that sink in. See? 7 facts about Marcus Garvey's friend Dusaim Muhammad Ali you may not know. on my soul.